Hello, welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and we've got a slightly different video today, and we're going to be talking about our character spec, essentially. We've got two characters now over level 170, one character over level 150, and I just thought I'd share with you some of my thoughts on a particular type of character build. Now, before we start, this is not about having a meta build. This is about somebody who, like myself, I prefer ranged builds, right? So we're not going down hardcore into Swordmaster path. We're focused on ranged damage. And this is about what I found personally over 300 hours of gameplay has worked the best for me in a solo PvE scenario. So I haven't PvP'd, and I'm not playing in a group. So this is very much about solo PvE, though I'm sure it could be used in group PvE quite effectively as well. In terms of PvP, couldn't tell you. I haven't used it in that way. So, to start with, let's have a look. So we are currently level 171. We've still got a bit to go. Now, in terms of gear, and we'll come on to the skills, but in terms of gear, I prefer the mercenary loadout, occasionally with some sentinel stuff if you've got in there, but by and large, if we just stick to what you can acquire quite easily, which is the mercenary stuff, I like to go with the heavy armor. I like plenty of armor. I like a lot of the ranged mitigation, right? You get good mitigation for ranged stuff. The downside is the blade mitigation and the fact that when you dash, it does cost you a lot more stamina. So the aim is we're trying to stick at range, keeping everything at ranged. Melee's a last option, so we are focused on using that heavy equipment. Right, in terms of weapons, now the weapon loadout that's worked best for me is, when it's available, the drill shot. Absolutely brilliant. Great for taking down shielded enemies, and we'll come on to how I combine that with some of the skills. But I take a drill shot. Obviously, before you get drill shot, you have no option but to put a disruptor in this area, but a drill shot is where you want to be at. I really like the snub nose. I didn't get into this at first, but I picked it up and started using it, and I really like the snub nose. It's got pretty decent damage. It's amazing when it over levels, just because of those single shots. You know, you're single shotting a lot of melee NPCs before they even get their shields on, which works out really well, and it works pretty well in close quarters. So if you're running through testing stations and so on, it's great for that. Because, as I say, it does take people out pretty quickly. You can use it in close quarters. It uses a heavy dart, the same as the drill shot, same as the sniper. So you only need one type of ammunition. And also, you don't tend to use that much ammo, right? There's only 7 rounds in a clip, and you're killing people normally with 1 or 2 shots. It also, if you've got an enemy who's fallen to the ground, either with the drill shot or the sniper, it does make for quite a nice finishing off single shot to the head. Works out very well. So yeah, I really like the snub nose. Third weapon, which is sort of, that's my go-to weapon in most games. I really do like my snipers. As I said, I'm a ranged damage person. I'm currently using a unique, which is Thufir's best bet, but the generic sniper rifle, the spit dart, is really good. I really like it. It's great for when dealing with anything in Haga Basin by and large. So if you're going after strongholds, you can kill anywhere between 50 and 90% of all the NPCs before you even set foot in the base. You park your Thopter on an overlooking rock and you take everybody out who's even remotely outside or in a doorway. And most of the time the bodies will still be there for looting and everything afterwards. So works really well. The great thing about the sniper rifle as well is that because it's poisoned, even if they fall to the ground to go and heal, the poison will finish them off. So love the sniper rifle. The other thing in Haga Basing, most of the testing stations are pretty large. They're pretty open space. There's not too many of them where there's a lot of enemies in a really small space. So, you know, as soon as you enter a room or you're peeking into a room, you can peek in with the sniper rifle, get a couple of shots off, and often, again, you'll kill melee people before they put their shield on because they won't know that you're there. Headshot straight away, and also the same for those heavy machine gunners that have the shields as well. You can shoot them in the head before they get their shields on. As our fourth weapon, I like to take a rapier, obviously when it becomes available, and in particular, poison mist. So it's got pretty good attack speed, but with poison mist in particular, it does poison damage. Fairly easy to pick up this blueprint as well, because often you'll find it on the top of the temple tower in Misa Tiril. There's a corpse there which has a lot of good loot on it, and often you'll find this blueprint there. So really, really good, because often and again, I'll show you a skill that you can use, but you've only got to hit an enemy once and they're going to be poisoned, right? And then even if you back off, kite them away, dodge, dash out the way, use a traversal skill, they will die from that poison damage. So again, a bit like the spit dart sniper rifle, right? You get that poison damage. So that's the weapons I normally go for. Now, one thing to say with this loadout, it's not great at dealing with hordes of enemies, right? Now, we have a skill to help us with that, but if you know you're going into either a testing station, lab, or you're doing some of the main story where particularly the back end of the main story, where you're going to be dealing with lots of enemies, I would also add the Karpov assault rifle into it as well, just to help give you some range damage. You get 2 shots in this sniper, 3 in the normal, you get 2 shots in the drill shot, and you get 7 shots in the snub nose, and that's before you're reloading. So, and the sniper's not great when you're getting rushed, unless they're coming from a long way. So I would definitely recommend picking up at least an assault rifle. I did try the Vulcan Gao. It didn't do very well. It wasn't very good at dealing with the hordes of enemies, I didn't feel like. Maybe I'd need to tech into it more from skills, but you need to be balanced what you're skilling up for. And I'm PvE solo, so I've got to put a lot of skills into farming stuff as well. So Vulcan Gao wasn't that impressed with it, but putting a Karpov assault rifle just to help deal with those hordes of enemies, which is quite situational, but can be useful if you know you're going to be up against that. Okay, so that's the gear that we're using currently. Now, bearing in mind we've got 3 unique pieces currently, which is Poison Mist, Thufir's Best Sniper Rifle, and then the Sentinel Jacket, which is actually better than the Mercenary, even though it only uses aluminum to make. And when I can, I'd like to get the Sentinel Pants as well. Right, let's take a look at the skills, because this is really where the build stems from, right? So, going to start with the Trooper. Thinking about ranged skills. So, first of all, range damage, max, center of mass, max, and we'll come on to that negative on the headshot damage for our technique. Maxed out in the drill shot. So it says scattergun damage, but this is all about maxing out drill shot. And then max on field maintenance. And weapons, generally not too bad a thing, and unique weapons and so on, they'll last a bit longer, but also tools. It's weapons and tools, which means it will reduce durability loss on things like static compactor, cutter ray, and stuff like that. They are also tools, so don't underestimate the value of that one. Static compactor in particular does seem to take a lot of damage quite quickly, particularly when you're farming either spice or flower sand. I take nothing in the Suspenser training at the moment, and I focus on Shiga Wire Claw. One of my favourite abilities in the game, superb for traversal, whether you're going up, down, sideways, quickly trying to cross the desert. You can aim the thing at the ground and pull yourself along, hit your Suspenser belt, and you'll fly for ages. Shiga Wire Claw, really, really good traversal skill. The other thing that comes with it, it's a ranged stun. So often, suppose you've got a heavy machine gunner and he's got a shield. You pull your Shiga Wire Claw out. You can range stun him with a Shiga Wire Claw. While he's stunned, switch to your drill shot, 2 shots, and he'll be dead. Right, Shiga Wire Claw, absolutely brilliant. And then, this is another part of the crowd control, right? So we know that with our weapon loadout, we don't have the best crowd control. So max out Explosive Grenade. Not only does it obviously do damage to a group of people, it does do damage through shields, which is huge. The other thing is, when you throw a grenade on the floor at people's feet, if they're running towards you, they will pause. Often they will stop they might dive to the side, they might seek cover. Either way, even if you don't kill them and there's a group of people coming towards you, you will slow them down massively, and that can be the difference in terms of getting a few extra shots off, killing them before they reach you, reloading, whatever it happens to be. So the explosive grenade, for me, has huge value in that crowd control, as well as just pure AoE damage. Next up, in the Mentat area, so first of all, you have to take that to get access to everything else. Range damage, right? Max that out. Pistol damage, that's our snub nose. Max that out. Rifle damage. Sniper rifle and assault rifle maxed out as well. So focusing on huge amounts of additional damage there. Technique, marksman. So while we're taking a minus 10% to headshot damage through the trooper technique, we're getting plus 20% here. On top of that, over here, we're getting an additional plus 15%, so additional 35%. So we're still gaining 25% headshot damage while gaining 10% body damage and only a minus 3%. And you can see when you come here, that's where it currently is, but if we go to the next one, that'll be 15% and so on. So my aim is to increase this technique. So we'll have good body damage increase and good headshot damage increase. So, and then the other thing I've put in, just as a garment keeper, just, you know, it's a couple of points, or single point actually indeed for these, which just helps those unique items you've got last that bit longer, right? Anything you can do, you know, you got that unique item, suppose you get it from the deep desert and you don't see it very often, just to make it last that bit longer has a lot of value. So that's what we have from the Mentat. Right. Solo PvE, right? There's a lot of things in here we need to maximize. First off, cut array mining. Goes without saying. You know, where I get jasmium, I fly in and I use my personal cut array for it. Some of the erythrite crystal in the rift can be difficult with a buggy to reach. Cut array mining. So there are lots of times when the cut array is valuable. Also, if you're happening in a testing station, a lot of those testing stations have got a lot of scrap metal around. Well, that's ammunition. So having cut array mining is good. There's a couple of testing stations which are great for fuel, great for iron as well, for mining in them. So having a good cut array is important. Power pack, that's important for shield. It's important for static compactor. It's important for cut array mining, but static compactor is a big one, particularly getting that flower sand, making sure you can get as many shots down so you can scoop up as quickly as possible. Deep analysis, only 1 point in that because of all the things, you got to pick your points. You can't choose everything and max out everything, but only 1 point in that, and that was so that we could get compaction. This is compactor yield, so this is flower sand and spice in particular. So you want to max out. For me, I wanted to max out the amount I could get back from using those tools. So that's compaction. And then on this side, the vehicles. Vehicle repair. Vehicles are incredibly costly in terms of resources. The last thing I want to do is having to make new components. So the longer that I can keep that vehicle running with repairs, the better. And fully up, that's a 35% maximum durability loss reduced. Vehicle mining. Buggy mining is one of the biggest ways of getting resources. All my aluminum, basalt, fuel cells, erythrite crystals for cobalt paste, carbon for steel, all of that is buggy mining. And even if you had a carry-all, you could carry all a buggy down to the jasmium area and farm that with a buggy as well. So vehicle mining, hugely important, particularly as a solo player. Fuel efficient driver. With that buggy, you're often going to be on long journeys, like even where I'm based with my outpost, going down into the Haga Rift, just saving that fuel means I don't have to take as many fuel cells in my inventory, which means I can fill it up with more cargo. So that's really important. Same with the fuel efficient pilot. You fly around, once you get a Thopter, you'll be flying around all the time. Anything you can do to keep your fuel going the longest is better, right? It saves you have to put fuel cells in your inventory, particularly if you're going out to deep desert, you need less. So having that fuel conservation is really, really good and does save you in the long run. And you don't have to build as many fuel things, and you can put that towards generator fuel and so on. Okay, Bene Gesserit. Bene Gesserit is probably the class I recommend starting as overall, just because it's probably the last class you're going to unlock. But what do we have here? So, because I was Bene Gesserit to start with, it comes with Compel, right? So that's just what you get because I'm Bene Gesserit, so I didn't choose that. But what have we got here? We have Recovery, Healing Regen Limit. We've got Sun Tolerance. I spend a lot of time outside doing flower sand, farming corpses from stations, mining, you know, all that type of stuff. So having that additional sun tolerance, particularly out in the deep desert where there's less cover, again, for me, really important. A little bit of poison tolerance. There is surprisingly an amount of poison in the game. It is situational, but every sniper out there is going to be shooting poison at you. So having a bit of tolerance to it is good, as well as the occasional mines that you'll encounter in places. Just that extra bit of tolerance for a couple of skill points, you know, is definitely worth having. Then to increase my tankiness, you know, I'm playing solo, so, you know, I need to make sure that I'm as tanky as I can be within reason while still doing damage. It's one of these trade-offs when you play solo is you need to make sure you're doing enough damage, but you need to make sure you're tanky enough, so you've got to try and balance that. So self-healing in there, and also vitality. Max health is one of the best things, because once you've got that max health, that's just going to take longer to wear you down, right? So max health just gives you that chance to heal, and then you get the self-healing bonus on top of that. And with that, we take the trauma recovery technique, so that improves the healing regen limit as well, and also the healing regen rate. So yeah, this area just giving us that bit of tankiness, you know, and all of these are useful. So you got to be careful when you're picking your skills. Like, you know, you can't have more than 3 techniques, but these you can take and get benefit from all the time. So that's what I'm taking here. Again, solo PvE, and then finally the Swordmaster, which for someone who's focused on range damage, you go Swordmaster. But this is kind of the crux of my build. And that is a bit of blade damage, yeah, okay, some long blade damage, yeah, okay, I need a bit of blade damage, because eventually you're going to be in melee. It doesn't matter what you do, however much you focus, yeah, at some point you're going to have to fight someone in melee. This is the key bit. We are not strong in melee. We don't have a lot of stamina. We don't have any of the stamina skills here, and we wear heavy armor. So one dodge, one dash, you take a lot of stamina. Retaliate, timed correctly, will automatically parry for you and attack back. Now, if you're doing that, if you use this ability, bear in mind the cooldown's not crazy, right? The cooldown's only 12, right? Not only will you parry the attack, you attack back, and it does a bit of bleed on there as well. But the main thing is if you're using the Poison Mist Rapier, that attack back also poisons the opponent. So you retaliate, hit them, poison them, and then if you back off, they'll probably die within a few seconds. So retaliate is a key ability to helping you mitigate being bum rushed by melee people. So you've Shiga wired stunned one, you've got your grenade out for a few, but there'll always be one that will come around, you'll have his shield on, and he's going to reach you. Instantly retaliate, and it can retaliate. You can use it against more than one opponent. If 2 opponents attacking you simultaneously, you can retaliate and hit them both. So retaliate with Poison Mist works for me really well. As I said, I'll reiterate, solo PvE, doing testing stations, doing the outposts, all that sort of thing, is where it all really shines. Now, I haven't done the labs in the deep desert, but in Hagar Basin, this build, if you like ranged, works really well for me. So sniper, snub nose, drill shot, assault rifle if you're dealing with hordes, and then a rapier, ideally Poison Mist as your melee, and then retaliate for dealing with those melee times you don't want to be in, the grenade for dealing with crowd control, and the Shiga Wire Claw for range stun and good traversal. And then you've got center of mass, body damage, marksman, headshot damage, trauma recovery for tankiness. This has been working incredibly well for me in labs and is able to clear through labs really, really quickly. And I say most of the time, you don't have to worry about shields because you're killing people before they've got their shields on. And even when they do get their shields on, 1 Shiga wire and 2 drill shots and it takes them down. If you want to see more of how this build plays, you can go watch my full playthrough of my character on the Dune Awakening playlist. You've been watching The Ghost Owl. I hope you found this incredibly useful. If you did, leave any comments below and let me know what your builds are and what you like to focus on, and if you've got any tips that could help others when they're building their characters. I'll see you all soon.